The stench of death hung thick in the air. Rotting bodies lined the streets, their twisted forms illuminated by the flickering glow of distant fires. Liam gripped the crowbar in his hands, his knuckles white as he listened to the guttural moans echoing through the city. The undead were close. "Move," he whispered, leading his group through the shattered remains of an old hardware store. The once bustling metropolis of Eastwood had become a graveyard, its towering skyscrapers now crumbling tombstones for the dead that walked below. Behind him, Noah, a former mechanic, struggled to keep quiet as he scavenged through a pile of rusted tools. Beside him, Harper, a sharp-eyed ex-reporter, kept watch, her grip tightening around a blood-stained pistol. And then there was Ava, the girl they'd found hiding in a burned-out pharmacy 2 nights ago. She couldn't have been more than 16, but there was something about her. She wasn't scared. Not like the rest of them. Ava knelt beside a supply bag, stuffing cans of food inside. "We don't have much time," she said, her voice eerily calm. Liam shot her a glance. There was something off about her. No panic, no fear, just cold calculation. But now wasn't the time to question it. Noah muttered a curse as he pocketed a handful of nails. "We should find a car and get the hell out of here." "No cars," Harper snapped. "Engines are too loud. We'll attract them." Noah exhaled sharply but didn't argue. Outside, the groaning grew louder. Liam peered through the broken store window. Shadows shifted between abandoned cars. Then he saw them, dozens of them. Their hollow eyes gleamed beneath the pale moonlight, their bodies moving in that slow, jerking motion. A sea of decayed flesh, dragging itself toward the scent of the living. "Shit," Harper breathed. Liam turned. "Back exit. Now." They moved quickly, weaving through toppled shelves and broken glass. The rear door loomed ahead. Liam reached for it. Crash. The sound of breaking glass shattered the silence. Noah had knocked over a metal shelf. A second of silence. Then. Screech. The undead howled, their groans shifting into rabid snarls. They moved faster now, driven by the scent of prey. "Run!" Liam barked. They burst through the back door, sprinting into a narrow alley. The undead flooded the streets behind them, a wave of gnashing teeth and clawing fingers. Ava darted ahead, unervingly swift. "This way," she shouted, pointing toward an old hospital at the end of the alley. Liam hesitated. A hospital meant narrow halls, locked doors, and no way out. But they had no choice. They barreled through the hospital's rusted entrance, slamming the door behind them. The undead pounded against the metal, their screeches muffled by the thick walls. For a moment, the group just stood there, chests rising and falling in panicked breaths. Noah wiped sweat from his forehead. That was too damn close. Harper checked her ammo. "We're trapped." Liam scanned the dark hallway ahead. Peeling paint curled from the walls, and the faint stench of antiseptic mixed with rot. Somewhere deep inside, something moved. A soft, shuffling sound. Not alone. Ava locked eyes with him. "We shouldn't have come here." Liam frowned. "You led us here." She didn't respond. Instead, she turned and walked deeper into the hospital, her footsteps echoing in the darkness. Liam exchanged a glance with Harper. Something was very wrong. Outside, the undead howled, their numbers growing. Inside, something waited. And Liam had the sickening feeling they had just walked into a trap. The dim hospital corridors stretched endlessly before them, lined with overturned gurneys and shattered glass. Faded blood smeared the walls, forming grotesque handprints and streaks leading into the darkness. The emergency lights flickered, casting eerie shadows that made the place feel alive. Liam's grip tightened on the crowbar as he led the group deeper inside. He had spent years as a firefighter, running into burning buildings, but this was different. Fire didn't chase you. Fire didn't groan in the dark, waiting to sink its teeth into your flesh. Ava, he said, keeping his voice low, you seemed pretty damn sure about coming here. Mind telling us why? Ava glanced at him over her shoulder, her expression unreadable. It's safe. For now. Noah scoffed. Safe? In a hospital? You ever seen a zombie movie, kid? She didn't answer. Instead, she moved with unsettling confidence, weaving through debris as if she had walked these halls before. Harper leaned in close to Liam. She's hiding something. Yeah, he muttered back, I know. A loud thump echoed from somewhere ahead. The group froze. Liam raised a hand, signaling for silence. Another thump. Closer this time. Then came the unmistakable sound of something dragging along the floor. Harper raised her pistol, eyes scanning the hallway. We are not alone. Ava remained calm. We need to get to the third floor. Liam narrowed his eyes. Why? Ava hesitated before answering. There's something there I need to find. That was enough to set Liam's nerves on edge. We're not on some treasure hunt, Ava, he hissed. We need to get out of here before that horde breaks in. Then leave, she said flatly. But I'm going. She started walking again, deeper into the shadows. Noah let out an incredulous laugh. This kid is out of her damn mind. Harper turned to Liam. We can't just let her wander off. She won't last 5 minutes alone. Liam clenched his jaw. He hated this. Every survival instinct in his body told him to turn back, to leave the hospital and never look back. But something about Ava gnawed at him. Reluctantly, he motioned for the group to follow. They moved quickly but cautiously, stepping over broken medical equipment and pools of dried blood. The hospital smelled of rot and mildew, a suffocating stench that clung to their clothes. Then Liam noticed something. The bodies. Unlike the streets outside, where the dead were everywhere, the hospital was strangely empty. No corpses slumped in chairs, no bodies littered the floor. Just silence. And that silence was worse than any groaning horde. They reached a stairwell. Ava took the first step up, but Liam grabbed her arm. Enough games, he said. What's on the third floor? Ava's face darkened. Answers. Liam studied her for a long moment, then sighed. Fine. But we move fast. They climbed in tense silence, every creak of the steps setting them on edge. At the top, they stepped into a darkened hallway marked restricted access in peeling red letters. Ava led them to a door at the end of the hall. The nameplate beside it read Dr. R. Kensley, Virology Lab. Liam exhaled sharply. You've got to be kidding me. Ava's hands trembled slightly as she pushed the door open. Inside, the lab was in chaos, papers scattered across the floor, shattered vials leaking unknown substances. A large observation window overlooked a sealed containment room, where something unnatural lay strapped to a gurney. Noah squinted at the shape behind the glass. Is that a... The thing on the gurney twitched. A garbled moan rasped from its throat as it turned its head, revealing sunken, milky eyes. Ava walked up to the glass, pressing her hand against it. The thing reacted, its body convulsing violently as it struggled against its restraints. Liam felt the hairs on the back of his neck rise. Ava. Step back. She didn't move. He was my brother. A stunned silence filled the room. Harper blinked. What? Ava's voice was quiet. Dr. Kensley said he was different. That he didn't turn like the others. They were studying him. Then everything collapsed, and I was the only one who made it out. Liam felt a sick twist in his stomach. She turned to them, eyes hollow. If he's still alive, maybe they were right. Maybe the virus isn't unstoppable. Noah exhaled sharply. Hold up. You're saying this thing is, what? A cure? Ava's expression hardened. I don't know. But I need to find out. A loud crash interrupted them. The sound came from the hallway. Liam turned, heart hammering. Shadows moved beyond the door. Then came the sound of groaning. Claws scraping against the walls. The dead had found them. Liam spun toward Ava. We're out of time. Grab what you need, and let's go. Ava hesitated for only a second before rushing to the overturned cabinets, rummaging through the scattered files. Harper took position at the door, gun raised. We've got movement, multiple. Noah cursed. We're screwed. Liam took a deep breath, gripping his crowbar. He had fought through burning buildings before. He had pulled people from the jaws of death. But this? This was a whole new kind of hell. And they were right in the middle of it. The groans of the undead grew louder, reverberating through the dark hospital corridors like an approaching storm. Harper pressed her back against the door, gripping her pistol tightly. They're coming, she hissed. Liam spun toward Ava, who was still shuffling through scattered papers. Whatever you're looking for, find it now. I need a minute, Ava muttered, flipping through old medical files. We don't have a damn minute. Noah barked, pacing like a caged animal. Outside the room, the scratching and clawing intensified. A heavy thud rattled the door as the undead began to throw their bodies against it. Liam's heart pounded. We have to move, now. Ava let out a sharp breath. Then, finally, she snatched a thin folder from the pile. Got it. She turned to Liam, her eyes filled with a strange mixture of relief and determination. We need to get to the sublevel. There might be. The door exploded inward. Harper dove aside as rotting arms clawed through the splintered remains of the wooden frame. Snarling faces pushed through the opening, their decayed lips peeling back to reveal gnashing teeth. Liam swung his crowbar with brutal efficiency, caving in the first zombie's skull. It dropped, but more piled in behind it, their hunger insatiable. We need an exit. Harper yelled, firing a round into a ghoul's forehead. Noah turned wildly, his eyes landing on a metal cabinet against the wall. Help me move this. Liam and Noah shoved the cabinet against the broken door, momentarily barricading the entrance. But the undead were relentless, slamming against the barrier, their moans filling the room like an eerie chant. Ava pointed to a second door on the far side of the lab. That leads to the maintenance tunnels. If we get down there, we can escape. Noah didn't hesitate. He ran for the door, yanked it open. And stopped dead in his tracks. A figure stood on the other side. A man. His clothes were ragged, his face gaunt with exhaustion. He held a shotgun, the barrel trained directly at Noah's chest. What the hell? Harper whispered, raising her gun. The man's expression was unreadable, but his voice was ice. Drop your weapons. Liam instinctively stepped in front of Ava, his grip tightening on the crowbar. We don't want trouble. The man's eyes flicked to the folder in Ava's hands. You have something I need. Ava's breath hitched. Who are you? The man ignored the question. Give me the file. Behind them, the barricade groaned under the weight of the undead. They were running out of time. Noah, ever the hothead, took a step forward. Or what? The man's finger twitched on the trigger. Or I shoot. Liam's mind raced. If a fight broke out, they'd all be dead, either by bullets or by the horde that was seconds away from breaking through. Why do you want it? Liam asked carefully, trying to stall. The man's eyes burned with intensity. Because I know what's in that file. Ava's fingers tightened around the folder. You worked here, didn't you? Silence. Then. The barricade finally gave way. The dead swarmed in. Chaos erupted. Harper fired wildly, dropping 2 ghouls before they could reach her. Noah lunged at the man with the shotgun, knocking him off balance. The weapon discharged, the deafening blast echoing through the lab. Liam grabbed Ava's wrist and yanked her toward the maintenance door. Run! The man snarled, trying to wrestle his gun from Noah, but a zombie latched onto his shoulder, sinking its teeth deep into flesh. His scream of agony filled the room. Liam didn't look back. They barreled through the maintenance tunnel door and slammed it shut behind them. Darkness swallowed them whole. The only sound was their ragged breathing and the distant echoes of the dead feasting on their newest victim. Liam pulled out his flashlight, its weak beam barely illuminating the damp corridor. Pipes ran along the ceiling, dripping water onto the cracked concrete floor. The air was thick with mildew and something else, something foul. Ava clutched the file to her chest, trembling. Harper wiped sweat from her forehead. What the hell just happened? Liam exhaled sharply. Someone else knew about this place. And they were willing to kill for that file. Noah groaned, rubbing his shoulder. Damn lunatic nearly blew my head off. Ava whispered, he wasn't a lunatic. He knew what this was. She held up the file. And now I need to know too. Liam sighed. We'll read it later. Right now, we need to get out of here. Harper glanced down the long, dark tunnel ahead. Where does this lead? Ava hesitated. I don't know. Noah groaned. Great. So we're wandering blind in a death trap. Liam turned to Ava. Tell me one thing, was that man right? Is there something in that file that could change everything? Ava swallowed hard. I think so. Liam exchanged a look with Harper and Noah. They had lost too much already. If there was even the slightest chance that this file held something, anything, that could turn the tide, they had to see it through. But first, they had to survive the night. Liam turned toward the tunnel, gripping his crowbar. Let's move. The maintenance tunnel stretched into darkness, its damp walls closing in like a suffocating tomb. Liam's flashlight flickered, casting erratic beams along rusted pipes and water-stained concrete. Every step echoed through the confined space, a reminder that they weren't as alone as they wished. Ava clutched the file to her chest, her face pale but determined. Noah walked beside her, grumbling under his breath. Harper brought up the rear, pistol raised, her every movement tense. Liam exhaled slowly. We need to keep moving. If that guy knew about the file, others might too. Ava nodded but remained silent. Noah scoffed. Yeah, and we have no idea where the hell this tunnel leads. For all we know, it just dumps us into another pile of zombies. Liam shot him a look. You got a better idea? Noah huffed but didn't argue. The tunnel sloped downward, the air growing colder. The musty scent of mildew mixed with something else, something metallic. Harper wrinkled her nose. You smell that? Liam did. Blood. His gut tightened. Stay sharp. Ava's voice was barely above a whisper. I think this connects to the sublevels. Liam frowned. And you didn't mention that earlier? I wasn't sure, she admitted. Dr. Kensley had a restricted research area beneath the hospital. If they were experimenting on my brother, it would have been down there. Noah cursed under his breath. Fantastic. Underground death lab. Just what we needed. Liam ignored him, focusing on the path ahead. They reached a rusted metal door, its surface streaked with dried blood. A sign above it read. Sublevel access, authorized personnel only. Harper ran a hand over the deep scratches gouged into the metal. Something wanted out. Liam glanced at Ava. How do we open it? Ava reached for a keypad mounted beside the door. Its screen was cracked, but a faint red light still blinked. She hesitated. Harper narrowed her eyes. You know the code, don't you? Ava bit her lip. I might. Noah stepped forward. Wait, hold up. Just how involved were you with this place? Ava hesitated. I told you, my brother was brought here. I spent months sneaking around, trying to find out what happened to him. Noah folded his arms. And you never thought to mention that before we followed you into a goddamn hospital full of undead science experiments? Liam silenced him with a look. Now's not the time. He turned to Ava. If you know how to open it, do it. Ava nodded and punched in a code. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a loud click, the lock disengaged. The door groaned open, revealing a dimly lit stairwell leading downward. Harper muttered, I have a bad feeling about this. Liam shared the sentiment, but they had come too far to turn back now. They descended cautiously, their footsteps echoing down the spiraling steps. The deeper they went, the colder it became. At the bottom, another door awaited, this one labeled Biocontainment Wing, Level 3. Liam pushed it open. The room beyond was massive, lined with shattered glass enclosures and overturned medical equipment. Flickering emergency lights cast long shadows across the walls. Blood pooled beneath gurneys, the air thick with decay. Something terrible had happened here. Ava stepped forward, her breath hitching. This is it. Liam scanned the room. Whatever they were doing down here, it didn't end well. Harper ran a hand over a nearby console. Looks like some kind of research hub. Computers, lab stations, medical beds. Noah stopped beside a massive containment pod, its reinforced glass fractured from the inside. And something they couldn't control. Liam examined the damage. The cracks in the glass suggested something strong, inhumanly strong, had broken free. Ava flipped open the file, scanning the pages. Her expression darkened. Project Revenant. Liam felt a chill crawl down his spine. What is it? Ava swallowed hard. They weren't just studying the infection. They were trying to control it. Dr. Kensley believed that some subjects didn't fully turn, that their bodies fought the virus differently. My brother was one of them. Noah let out a humorless laugh. And let me guess, whatever they were working on went to hell, and now we're standing in the middle of ground zero. Ava shook her head. It's worse. She held up a page. They were developing a mutation, a new strain. One that could create something more. A deep, guttural growl echoed through the room. Everyone froze. Liam slowly turned toward the far end of the lab. The shadows shifted. A figure emerged, a humanoid shape, but wrong. Its skin was mottled and pale, stretched too tightly over bulging muscles. Its eyes, sunken and glowing faintly, locked onto them with predatory intensity. Noah stumbled back. Oh, hell no. The creature sniffed the air. Its lips curled, revealing jagged teeth. Then it lunged. Liam barely had time to react. He shoved Ava aside as the monstrosity crashed into the metal table where she had been standing. The impact sent equipment flying, sparks showering from shattered screens. Harper fired 3 shots. 2 missed. The third hit the creature's shoulder. And it barely flinched. Liam grabbed his crowbar, swinging hard at its head. The blow landed, but the monster whipped around, backhanding him with bone-crushing force. Liam crashed into a cabinet, his vision swimming. Noah pulled out his knife and slashed wildly as the creature advanced. It caught his arm in a vice-like grip, lifting him off the ground. Ava screamed, "Noah!" Liam pushed through the pain, forcing himself upright. His mind raced. Bullets barely worked. Blunt force didn't slow it. They needed to run. He grabbed a metal canister and hurled it at a nearby control panel. Sparks erupted as electricity surged through the machinery. The creature roared, momentarily disoriented. Liam took the chance. "Move!" Harper grabbed Ava, dragging her toward the exit. Noah wrenched free from the creature's grip, clutching his bleeding arm as he stumbled after them. The group sprinted through the ruined lab, every breath ragged with panic. Behind them, the creature let out a furious, unearthly scream. And then, it started to follow. The guttural scream of the mutant reverberated through the ruined lab, sending a shiver down Liam's spine. They ran, sprinting past shattered glass and overturned medical equipment, the sound of heavy, unnatural footfalls pounding behind them. "Move! Move!" Liam shouted, his voice hoarse with panic. Noah clutched his bleeding arm, his breath ragged. "What the hell is that thing?" Ava's eyes were wild with terror. Something worse than the infected, something engineered. Harper turned just long enough to see the monstrosity give chase. Its movements were terrifyingly fast, each stride bringing it closer. "We're not gonna outrun it," she yelled. Liam's mind raced. They needed to lose it, fast. His eyes darted around the corridor as they ran. Rusted doors. Collapsed sections. A broken overhead light flickering erratically. Then he saw it. A heavy steel security door marked, "Containment Chamber, Emergency Lockdown," sat partially open just ahead. Inside. "Now!" Liam grabbed Ava and shoved her through the opening. Noah and Harper followed, their footsteps pounding against the metal floor. Liam was the last one in. He turned just in time to see the creature lunge. With every ounce of strength, he slammed the steel door shut. Bang! The impact shook the door as the creature crashed against it. Clawed fingers reached through the narrow gap before Liam yanked the lever down, locking it tight. Heavy breathing filled the room. Ava clutched the file to her chest, her body trembling. Noah slid down the wall, pressing a hand against his bleeding arm. Harper stared at the reinforced door, sweat glistening on her forehead. "Tell me that thing can't break through." Liam exhaled. "We'll find out soon enough." Outside, the creature snarled, slamming into the door again. A deep dent formed in the metal. Noah groaned. "I hate this place." Liam ignored him and turned his flashlight toward the room. The containment chamber was large, with observation panels running along one side. Computers, now dark and lifeless, lined the walls. In the center of the room stood a single holding cell, its reinforced glass cracked. Dried blood smeared the walls inside. Ava hesitated, staring at the cell. "This is where they kept him," she whispered. Liam frowned. "Your brother?" Ava nodded, stepping closer. She ran a trembling hand over the cracked glass. This was his prison. Harper glanced around warily. "And yet, he's not here. What happened to him?" Ava's grip tightened around the folder. She flipped through the pages, scanning frantically until her eyes locked onto something. Her face paled. "Oh no." Liam tensed. "What?" Ava slowly looked up, her voice barely above a whisper. "He's not dead." A heavy silence filled the room. Noah blinked. "Come again?" Ava swallowed hard. "My brother, Ethan, he was one of the test subjects that survived the initial infection. Kensley's team was trying to create something stable. A form of the virus that could be controlled. But..." Harper crossed her arms. "But what?" Ava hesitated. Then, in a shaky voice, she read aloud. Subject 09 exhibited an unexpected reaction to variant strain X, increased cognitive function. Physical augmentation beyond baseline human capabilities. Subject retained memories, and became highly adaptive to environmental stimuli. Liam's pulse quickened. Wait. You're saying he's still out there? A thinking, evolved infected? Ava slowly nodded. Harper let out a low curse. Jesus. Noah scoffed. Great. So now we're not just dealing with mindless biters, we're dealing with some kind of goddamn zombie super soldier. Outside, the creature growled lowly. Its patience was wearing thin. Liam turned back to Ava. If Ethan's alive, what does he want? Ava's expression was unreadable. I don't know. Liam ran a hand through his hair, his mind racing. They had to find a way out of here, but if Ava's brother was still out there, it changed everything. And not necessarily for the better. Harper exhaled. First things first, we need to stop that thing from bashing down the door. Liam nodded. There's gotta be a way out of here. Ava pointed toward the far end of the room. There. A secondary door, partially rusted, sat against the back wall. Liam moved to test the handle. Then he froze. Something was written on the door. Long scratches dug deep into the metal, forming crude, desperate words. Help me. I'm still me. Ava's breath hitched. Liam turned to her. Do you think? Ava's eyes filled with emotion. It's his handwriting. Noah's eyes darted between them. Okay, let's take a step back here. We don't even know if he's still. A new sound cut him off. Not the snarls of the mutant outside. A voice. Low. Rough. Just outside the door. Ava. The group went still. Ava took a sharp breath. Ethan? A pause. Then. They're coming. A second later, a new, more distant sound filled the air. The groaning of a massive horde. Liam's stomach dropped. Harper's voice was barely above a whisper. Oh, hell. Ava's hands trembled. Noah gritted his teeth. What now? Liam didn't hesitate. He turned to the rusted door and grabbed the handle. Now? He wrenched it open. We run. Liam barely had time to process the warning before the horde's distant groans turned into an overwhelming chorus of hunger. They were coming. He shoved the rusted door open, revealing a dark, winding corridor. Cold air rushed past them, carrying the damp stench of mildew and decay. He didn't know where it led, but staying wasn't an option. Go. Liam ordered. Ava hesitated, glancing back at the reinforced door where her brother's voice had just come from. Ava, we don't have time. Harper grabbed her arm, pulling her into the tunnel. Liam was the last one through, slamming the door shut behind him. For a moment, there was only darkness. Then the first gunshot rang out. Bang! Liam whipped around. The security door they had just escaped through shook violently, an inhuman screech splitting the air. Harper cursed. That thing's still after us. Noah groaned. Fantastic. As if the horde wasn't enough. Ava's breathing was shaky. We need to keep moving. Liam flicked on his flashlight, sweeping it across the corridor. It stretched forward, uneven and narrow, with pipes lining the walls. Old maintenance tunnels, most likely. But where did they lead? No time to think. He took off running, the others right behind him. The ground beneath their feet was damp and uneven. Somewhere in the distance, water dripped, the sound unnervingly loud in the confined space. Ava clutched the file tightly to her chest. If Ethan warned us about the horde, that means he's still watching. Noah huffed. Yeah. Then where the hell is he? Ava had no answer. Liam's mind raced. If Ethan was one of them but still self-aware, that meant he had a plan, or at least an agenda. The real question was, could he be trusted? A deafening crash behind them cut off Liam's thoughts. The mutant had broken through. A deep, guttural growl filled the tunnel, echoing through the confined space. Then, pounding footsteps. It was chasing them. Liam pushed harder. Faster. The tunnel twisted and sloped downward. The floor grew slick, forcing them to be careful with every step. Where does this lead? Harper shouted. Ava shook her head. I don't know. Noah groaned. You worked here and don't know the damn layout? Ava shot him a glare. I wasn't exactly given a tour of the secret underground maze, Noah. Liam ignored their argument and focused ahead. The tunnel split in two. Both paths looked equally uninviting. Left or right? Harper demanded. Liam made a split-second decision. Left. They veered left, barreling down the passageway. Behind them, the mutant skidded into view. Its glowing eyes locked onto them, its grotesquely muscular frame heaving with every breath. Then, to their horror, it started running. Faster than before. Holy shit, it's getting quicker. Noah yelled. Ava let out a choked breath. It's adapting. Liam didn't dare look back. They had seconds, maybe less. Then he saw it. A door, slightly ajar, with a faint green light glowing from the panel beside it. A way out. Inside. Liam lunged forward, throwing his weight against the door. It screeched open, revealing a new chamber, a massive underground transport hub. Rusted train tracks stretched out before them, old supply crates and abandoned equipment scattered across the floor. But it was what was waiting inside that made Liam's stomach drop. Corpses. Dozens, hundreds, of bodies, piled haphazardly across the tracks. Some had decayed beyond recognition, their skeletal remains picked clean. Others were fresh, their flesh torn apart by something far worse than the infected. The air stank of death. Oh my God, Ava whispered. Harper swallowed hard. What the hell happened here? Noah took a step back. I don't want to find out. Liam turned just as the mutant reached the doorway. It paused. For the first time since they'd seen it, the creature hesitated. Its glowing eyes flickered across the room, its lips pulling back in a slow, deliberate snarl. Then, from somewhere deep within the chamber, a new sound emerged. Scraping. A low, sickening noise, like claws dragging across metal. Liam's gut twisted. They weren't alone. The mutant didn't attack. Instead, it let out a warning growl, not toward them, but toward whatever was inside the room. Ava's breath hitched. It's afraid? Liam didn't like this. The mutant had been relentless in its pursuit, but now it hesitated. That meant something else was here. Something worse. Harper gritted her teeth. We need to get out of here, now. Liam scanned the room, spotting an old service tunnel in the distance. It might lead to an exit, or another death trap. But staying wasn't an option. Then, from the far end of the chamber, a figure stepped into view. Tall. Slender. Almost human. Almost. Its skin was unnaturally pale, its body lanky but powerful. It walked with eerie precision, its head tilting slightly as it observed them. Its eyes, black, hollow pits, locked onto Liam's. A slow, deliberate smile stretched across its face. Noah froze. What the hell is that? Ava's voice was barely a whisper. Project Revenant. The moment the words left her lips, the figure moved. Not like the other infected, not sluggish or mindless. Fast. Precise. Predatory. It vanished in a blur, and before Liam could react, it was right in front of him. Liam barely dodged as clawed fingers slashed through the air. He stumbled back, heart hammering. The creature didn't attack again. Instead, it tilted its head, as if studying him. Then it spoke. A voice, smooth, eerily calm. Interesting. Ava gasped. Ethan? The figure turned toward her, that eerie smile widening. Hello, sister. Behind them, the mutant let out a terrified screech and bolted back the way it came. It wasn't the predator here. Ethan was. Silence. Liam's heartbeat pounded in his ears as Ethan, if that thing was still Ethan, took a slow step forward. The dim green emergency lights cast shadows across his unnaturally pale face, accentuating the sharp angles of his hollow features. His black, soulless eyes locked onto Ava, a slow smile stretching across his lips. You came back, Ethan murmured. His voice was smooth, too smooth, like a whisper laced with static. Ava's breath trembled. Ethan, what did they do to you? Ethan tilted his head slightly. They made me better. Liam tensed. He could feel the power radiating off Ethan, something far beyond the infected they'd faced before. Ethan wasn't just one of them. He was something else entirely. A predator. Behind them, Harper and Noah edged back toward the old service tunnel. Liam's mind raced. Could they escape? No, Ethan was too fast. If he wanted them dead, they'd already be corpses. Which meant he was playing with them. Noah gritted his teeth. We don't have time for this freak show, Ava, we need to go. Ethan's gaze flicked toward Noah. Ah. The coward. Noah stiffened. Excuse me? Ethan took a slow step closer. Too close. You reek of fear, he murmured. I can hear your pulse. Your blood rushing through your veins. A pause. Then, with a soft, almost amused chuckle, so easy to tear open. Noah paled but didn't move. Liam stepped between them. Back off. Ethan's eyes flicked to him, the smile never faltering. Ah. The leader. He studied Liam for a moment, then exhaled through his nose. Still clinging to old-world notions of survival. Liam kept his stance firm. We're leaving. Ethan's smile widened. Are you? A sudden crash echoed through the chamber as something massive shifted in the darkness. The scent of death grew thicker. Liam's stomach dropped. The horde was here. The others stiffened as the groans started, low at first, then rising into an overwhelming chorus of hunger. The tunnels had led the undead straight to them. Liam, Harper said urgently, her voice tight with panic. Liam clenched his fists. Damn it. Ethan let out a quiet chuckle. You can try to run, he mused. But they will catch you. His hollow eyes gleamed. Unless you play my game. Ava's eyes widened. What? Ethan's smile never faltered. A simple wager. You amuse me, and I let you go. His fingers twitched at his sides, black veins pulsing under his skin. Refuse, and I let them eat you alive. Noah swore under his breath. We don't have time for this psycho. Ethan hummed. Then you'll be the first to die. Liam had no good options. They couldn't fight Ethan. They couldn't outrun him. And now, the horde was closing in. They had to play. Liam exhaled. Fine. Ethan's smile sharpened. Good choice. Harper shot Liam a "What the hell are you doing?" look, but he ignored it. This was about survival. Ethan took another step forward, raising a hand. His fingers flexed unnaturally, as if his bones were stretching beneath his skin. I'll make this simple, he murmured. You have 3 minutes to get to the exit. Liam's blood ran cold. What's the catch? Ethan's smile darkened. I'll be hunting you. Ava let out a shaky breath. Ethan. He didn't acknowledge her. His black eyes gleamed. Run. Liam didn't hesitate. Go, he shouted. They sprinted toward the service tunnel just as the horde crashed into the room. Rotting bodies poured in from the opposite end of the chamber, their snarls and shrieks blending into a horrifying symphony of death. Liam shoved Noah forward. Move! Move! They raced toward the tunnel, but behind them, Ethan was already moving. Not running. Gliding. Inhumanly fast. Effortless. Liam gritted his teeth, forcing himself to go faster. The tunnel entrance was 20 feet away. Then 15. Then. A blur of motion. Ethan appeared right beside Harper, his fingers reaching for her. Liam grabbed Harper's jacket and yanked her back just as Ethan's claws slashed through empty air. She stumbled, gasping. Ethan grinned. Clever. Liam didn't stop. They reached the tunnel just as the first of the undead pounced from behind. The group dived through the opening, scrambling over broken debris. Block it! Block it! Noah shouted. Liam and Harper grabbed a rusted crate, slamming it against the entrance just as the first infected crashed into it. Ava was panting. Did we? Bang! The crate shuddered violently. A single clawed hand reached through the gap. Ethan's voice was smooth. Time's up. Noah's face drained of color. Shit, he's still coming. Liam knew they had seconds. The tunnel led deeper into darkness, but it was their only hope. He grabbed Ava's wrist. We have to keep moving. She resisted for a heartbeat, her eyes still locked on Ethan. Her brother. Liam pulled harder. Ava, now. Finally, she tore her gaze away. They ran. The last thing Liam heard was Ethan's laughter echoing through the tunnel. He was still playing with them. And that meant the worst was yet to come. The tunnels twisted endlessly, the walls closing in as Liam and the others sprinted through the darkness. Their breaths came ragged, their bodies aching from exhaustion, but they couldn't stop. Wouldn't stop. Not with Ethan behind them. His laughter echoed through the passageways, low, mocking, as if he were everywhere at once. Liam knew the truth. Ethan wasn't chasing them. He was hurting them. The walls trembled as distant explosions rumbled through the facility. The horde had broken through, flooding the underground like a tidal wave of death. But Ethan wasn't concerned about them. He only cared about the hunt. Ava stumbled, gasping for air. Liam caught her arm, steadying her. We're almost there, he lied. Noah cursed under his breath. Do you even know where the hell we're going? Liam didn't answer. They needed a way out, fast. Harper glanced over her shoulder. I don't see him. That didn't mean he wasn't there. He was waiting. Ava clenched her fists. We have to stop running. Liam shot her a sharp look. Are you insane? He's toying with us, she snapped. If we keep running, we're playing his game. We need to fight. Noah barked a bitter laugh. Fight what? He's not human anymore, Ava. Ava turned on him, eyes blazing. He's still my brother. Liam exhaled. Not anymore. Ava's expression cracked, but before she could respond, the lights flickered. The laughter stopped. A cold, unnatural silence filled the tunnel. Then. You disappoint me. Ethan's voice came from everywhere. Liam turned slowly, his pulse hammering. Ethan stood at the far end of the tunnel. His hollow black eyes gleamed as he stepped forward. His movements were too fluid, too calculated. Every inch of him screamed predator. Ava swallowed hard. Ethan. He tilted his head. Sister. Liam slowly reached for his knife. It wouldn't be enough, but it was all he had. Ethan's gaze flicked to him, amusement flashing across his face. Brave. Then, he moved. A blur of motion. Too fast. Before Liam could react, Ethan was inches away, fingers curled into claws. Ava lunged. She thrust a metal rod, ripped from the debris, straight into Ethan's side. For the first time, he staggered. Not from pain. From shock. Ava's breath came fast. I know you're still in there. Ethan looked down at the rod buried in his torso, then back at her. He laughed. Ava. His voice was almost gentle. Then, his hand wrapped around her throat. Liam moved instantly, slashing his knife across Ethan's arm. The blade broke on contact. Ethan barely acknowledged him. His grip tightened. Ava choked, kicking wildly. Noah and Harper rushed forward, but with a single flick of his wrist, Ethan sent them crashing into the walls. Liam's stomach twisted. This was it. They couldn't beat him. They couldn't even touch him. Ethan's eyes locked onto Ava's. His voice dropped to a whisper. You should have stayed away. Ava gasped, struggling. Then, she moved. Her hand shot into her pocket. A syringe. The one she had stolen from the lab. She rammed it into Ethan's neck and pressed the plunger. For the first time, Ethan screamed. A sound inhuman, filled with agony. His grip on her throat shattered as he stumbled backward, his body seizing violently. The serum, whatever was in it, was working. Liam grabbed Ava and yanked her away. What the hell was that? Ava coughed, gasping for air. An inhibitor slows the mutation. Ethan collapsed to his knees, his body twitching uncontrollably. His veins turned black, spreading like cracks across his skin. Harper and Noah scrambled to their feet. Noah's voice was sharp. We have to go, now. Liam hesitated. Ethan was vulnerable. For the first time. They could finish him. Ava grabbed his arm. Don't. Liam clenched his jaw. Another explosion shook the tunnels. The horde was closing in. They had to run. Liam turned and bolted. They raced down the passageway, leaving Ethan behind. The tunnels sloped upward, toward a faint glow. An exit. The cold night air hit them like a wave. They were out. But there was no time to celebrate. Behind them, the tunnel collapsed. Dust and debris erupted into the air, sealing Ethan, and whatever was left of the facility, inside. The world fell silent. For a long moment, they just stood there. Alive. Noah let out a shaky breath. Is it over? Liam looked back at the rubble. I don't know. Harper wiped sweat from her face. We need to keep moving. Ava didn't speak. She just stared at the ruins, eyes dark with emotion. Liam placed a hand on her shoulder. Come on. She swallowed hard. Nodded. Then, together, they walked into the night. Not as survivors. As the last remnants of a world that no longer existed. Epilogue. Deep beneath the rubble, in the darkness of the collapsed tunnels. A figure stirred. Black veins pulsed. A slow breath filled the air. Then. A smile. See you soon, sister. The end.